Frank Holmes joins us again this Monday. And Frank, we need you more than ever. What a week we have ahead of us. U.S. midterm elections. We have important economic data coming out of Europe and the U.S. this week. And of course, gold hovering near that 4-year low. Frank, thanks so much for joining us this Monday.
It's good to be here. Remember, tough times don't last forever, but tough people do.
Well said, Frank. I was just going to sum up last week by saying, ouch. But let's look at some opportunities now. Frank, what should we be paying attention to when talking gold?
Well, I think that the economic data points are so important to take a look at. The GDP numbers were great, and that's always the past. But most important was these ISM numbers that came out in America, which is known as the PMI globally, and they were a home run. So right now, the U.S. 1 month is above the 3 months, and that's very bullish in America for consumer spending. So gold jewelry will do well this year. Tiffany's is a stock that we own. It will do, and it's been doing well, and it will continue to do so. So there'll be a shift probably more to gold jewelry. Sales will remain robust than gold bugs and gold coins. But a lot of research is saying that whenever you get these huge sell-offs like this, mean reversion usually takes place, and it's an attractive time as an entry point. But as a global money manager, gold and gold stocks are 10% of my portfolio. So I'm happy to see the U.S. is strong, and I'm happy to see that gas prices at the pump are declining because it's huge for consumer spending, which should be great this quarter.
All right, so Frank Holmes liking Tiffany. Let's look to China for a second now. Still on opportunities here, Frank. And a survey released on Monday today indicated China's service sector grew at its slowest pace in 9 months in October. So the non-manufacturing PMI fell from 53.8 in October, from 54 in September. Could this affect gold? Is it relevant?
No, it's an important story because the strongest PMIs globally is America. However, it's not strong enough to lift the world. The global PMI put out by JP Morgan, the 1 month is still below the 3 months as of last month. And this week, that's the touchdown pass for everyone to focus on.
Don't give it away yet, Frank. We'll get to it.
What will that global PMI be? And the other factor will be the elections. I think a lot of the air will be cleared when will the Senate swing over to Republicans and Congress. What will take place? And that's sort of the short-term drama that's impacted investors in the month of October.
And Frank, do you think that's partly the reason we haven't seen physical buyers step in here in the gold market? Are they waiting for that midterm election to be done with?
I think so. I think that's an important factor because the Senate and Congress, they're the lawmakers and process for approving laws, and will it all go to the Republican? So that's the big question, and so people wait.
And Frank, would a Republican win be better news for gold?
Well, it's hard for me to say. It's just their policies. It doesn't matter to me if it's a Democrat or Republican party. It's what are their policies, their fiscal policies and their monetary policies.
Frank, let's move on to threats now. And of course, the number one threat here, U.S. dollar. It's really been the threat since we kicked off gold game film a few months ago. Is there an end in sight to the U.S. dollar rally? And, how much higher can it go? I guess that's really the million-dollar question here, Frank.
Well, I think the two factors, Danielle, are remember, the fear trade and the love trade. And for the fear trade, it is a strong dollar is negative for gold. That's just a fact. So that's what we're living with. Two is on the love trade is the GDP per capita. Is it rising or falling in Chindia? And if it's declining on real terms, that's usually negative for consumption of gold.
Frank, and before we get to your touchdown pass, I know you attended the New Orleans Investment Conference where Alan Greenspan, the former Fed head, was the keynote speaker. And Alan Greenspan just all over the news for his comments that he apparently said during this conference. I know you were in attendance, you were seated in the audience, and I'd like to get your interpretation. So one blogger was saying that during the conference, Greenspan said that the Federal Reserve is sitting on a pile of tinder, that the Fed is not independent, and that the price of gold is headed to measurably higher levels. Is that what you took away from it, Frank?
My understanding of what his comments were that he's bullish on gold, but it's a longer term vision. these short-term issues with regard to the Fed and its independence, all these things were short-term, but the idea of gold rising to substantially higher prices, that wasn't immediate. That wasn't in the next 3 months or a year, is the way he commented on it.
Right.
But it doesn't deny, understanding monetary and fiscal policy and the imbalances. So we have a huge imbalance of fiscal and monetary policies. One of the big factors that impacting global PMI numbers is this continuous attack by central bankers, regulators, and policymakers against all the banks. That impacts global economic activity.
All right, Frank, finally, touchdown pass.
Elections, global PMI. So we got two of them here we're going to watch on this week to see how they impact for next week's data points. But global PMI for the gold investor, the metals investor, is most significant.
All right, Frank, thank you so much.
Happy investing in a challenging market.
Yes, good luck to all our investors out there, and thanks for watching this edition of Gold Game Film with Frank Holmes. We want to know what you think. You can email us at newsfeedback@kitco.com. Happy Monday.